I booked the trip on a Tuesday, mostly because my best friend Hannah wouldn't stop texting me pictures of beaches while I was stuck in my office, fluorescent lights humming above my head. She sent one more photo, a quiet cove with bright blue water, and added, "This is your sign." And maybe it was. Maybe I was looking for one. The vacation was to the Florida Keys. I hadn't taken time off in over a year, and I was running on fumes. Burned out from work, burned out from dating apps, burned out from people asking me when I was going to settle down like it was as easy as picking an item off a menu. When I arrived, the sun was warm, the breeze smelled like salt and sunscreen, and I could already feel the weight starting to lift from my shoulders. The resort was quiet and charming, with colorful bungalows lined up along a stretch of private beach. I dropped my bag on the bed, kicked off my shoes, and walked barefoot to the shore. That's when I saw him. He was sitting under a palm tree, sunglasses on, a book in his hands. He looked like something out of a magazine, sun-kissed skin, tousled brown hair, and a relaxed smile that made my stomach flutter. I wasn't even close enough for him to notice me yet, but I found myself slowing down, not wanting to disturb whatever peace he was enjoying. I didn't expect to see him again, but of course, the universe had other plans. The next morning, I signed up for a snorkeling excursion. I was still adjusting my flippers when the guy from the beach stepped onto the boat. He looked up and our eyes met. He smiled, and I felt like I'd forgotten how to breathe. "Hey," he said, walking over. "Mind if I sit here?" I nodded, trying to look casual.
Sure.
No. Yes, sit. He laughed, clearly amused, and held out his hand. "I'm Jake." "Emily," I said, shaking his hand. We spent the boat ride talking. I found out he was from Denver, worked in software development, and had taken a spontaneous trip to get away from a toxic relationship and a job he didn't love. Something about that made me like him even more, his honesty, his unfiltered way of speaking. It felt real, like a breath of fresh air after a year of small talk and empty promises. When we dove into the water, I stayed close to him. Not just because I wasn't the strongest swimmer, but because I felt safer that way. We marveled at the coral reefs, pointed out colorful fish, and occasionally tugged at each other's arms to share something exciting under the surface. That night, he found me again at the tiki bar by the pool. I was sipping a coconut mojito, trying not to look like I was hoping he'd show up. "Is this seat taken?" he asked. "It is now." We talked for hours. The stars came out. The music shifted from upbeat pop to slow island ballads. He told me about his childhood summers on a lake in Michigan, and I told him about the way my grandmother used to make lemon pie every time I got my heart broken. Jake listened like no one ever had, like my words meant something. And when the bartender called last call, he leaned in closer and said, "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think you didn't just come here to get away. I think you came here to find something." I laughed. "And what do you think I'm trying to find?" He smiled slowly. "Maybe you'll figure that out tomorrow." The next day, we rented bikes and rode down the coast. We stopped for key lime pie at a roadside stand, took pictures in front of a giant lobster statue, and swam in a hidden lagoon we found by accident. Every minute with Jake felt like something out of a movie, like time didn't matter and nothing bad could happen in a place that beautiful. On the fourth day, we kissed. We were lying on beach towels, sun-drenched and slightly buzzed from fruity cocktails. He looked at me, just looked, for what felt like a lifetime. And then, as the waves crashed behind us, he leaned in and kissed me. It was soft and slow, like he was memorizing me. I felt my heart break open in the best way. After that, we were inseparable. We went paddleboarding, took sunset cruises, danced barefoot on the sand when a local band played by the pier. I'd never felt so alive, so seen. One night, as we sat under a string of fairy lights on the resort patio, Jake reached for my hand. "I know this started as a vacation fling," he said, "but it doesn't feel like that anymore. Does it to you?" I shook my head.
No.
"It doesn't." He leaned in closer. "I know we live in different states, and this might be complicated. But I don't want this to end when the vacation does." "Neither do I," I whispered. And just like that, everything shifted. On our last full day, we got caught in the rain. We'd gone to a nearby island for lunch, and a sudden storm rolled in on our boat ride back. Instead of running for cover, Jake pulled me into the rain and kissed me like we had all the time in the world. "I don't care if we get soaked," he said. "I just want to remember this moment." I did. I still do. When it was finally time to leave, we stood in front of the airport security gate, our bags at our feet, the world suddenly a lot heavier. "This isn't goodbye," he said. "No," I agreed. "It's just the beginning." We promised to visit each other, and we did. 2 weeks later, he flew to Chicago to meet me. A month after that, I flew to Denver. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. 6 months later, Jake got a remote job. He packed up his apartment, drove across 3 states, and moved into mine. And now, every time someone asks me how we met, I smile and say, I went on a vacation and got more than a tan. Because I did. I got him. And I'd choose that beach, that boat, that moment again and again.